is in the pudding, and the pudding in this case is a football. Boom! Eat my goal! The goalie has got football pie all over his shirt.
Welcome to this episode of the Down the Pub podcast, brought to you by Molson Coors. Hey, I got it.
Yes, mate.
I was just practicing before we started. Our wonderful sponsors.
Is that because they threatened to remove their sponsorship after last week?
Pretty much.
You got a letter through the door.
So our beer of choice this week, because I have to get this plug in early, is Strongbow. I watched the game and I had a Strongbow watching it, and I forgot how nice cider is. I don't normally drink cider, and it was kind of a muggy day, and I had the thing sitting in the fridge, and I had some ice and poured that bad boy over, and it was quite delicious.
It's a nice summer drink, isn't it? A cider.
Yeah.
What notes did you get from it? Any citrus notes or floral notes?
I would say it's a dry cider, because normally, like the one I normally actually drink, and they'll probably stop the sponsorship after this too, is Magners back, like Magners, we call it Bulmers back home, and it's really sweet. So like Strombow's a little bit kind of sharper than that, and I didn't think I'd like that kind of thing, but it was really nice. I did get some like floral notes, and it was a very I feel like it's like Granny Smith's or something. It's like that kind of tangy thing. Anyway,
I remember, like, from living back home, I still remember the Strongbow advert that used to be on TV. It was like this, the giant golden archer, like, and that's what I think. I think of that, and I think of, do you remember that amazing Guinness advert from about 20 years ago, where it's black and white, and the guy riding the wave?
Yes.
Like a horse appears out of the water or something like that as well.
Yeah. There's another. There was one of the famous Guinness advert where it's like a guy like dancing as the point is settling, and it was like this kind of bit of like jazz music that went to #1 in Ireland. It was like anyway, it was a really good advert. Anyway,
but Molson Coors make better adverts, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. And if they did a stout, I'm sure it'd be better. I can't say that. No. So anyway, Strongbow.
Mate, you'll have your passport removed.
I
know.
Say that. I know. But it's Strongbow good, Anthony bad. All right. So moving on to our reviews. So we've got two games to go over: Atletico Ottawa, and we also have the Pacific game. I got the chance later on to interview Ludwig Amla, which will come up in the second part of the show. He's a really nice guy. I'm glad that we got to chat with him. And speaking of that, I just thought that we would kind of look at the signings first, if that's okay with you, because I know that we've signed half of Canada by this. But I'm trying to remember all the guys that we've got coming in. So we signed D-Row Jr., the goalkeeper. We had Diegelman that we signed from.
Yeah, they're both on development contracts, aren't they? Those two.
They brought him from Germany. Erroneously said that he was a Bundesliga player when I think they were. Anyway.
Yeah. He was like with a Bundesliga 2 team. I don't even know if he's. Anyway, yeah.
I think it's like one of those. So I think in Germany they do like Bundesliga 2, and then they've got like regional thing. I think he's in one of the. Anyway,
he would not be signing for us if he was from the Bundesliga.
Exactly, he's not. But at the same time, though, it's still quite difficult to get picked up by a team in Germany if you're Canadian. So good for him. And then we brought in the defender. What's his name?
Campagna.
Campagna. Thank you. I kind of wanted to get your. Obviously like. I want to see if you've done any homework on them first of all, and then kind of just get what your thoughts are on like what our signing strategy appears to be now going forward, because we have signed quite a few players in the last. Escobar came in, and Amla, and there was another developmental contract one as well, I think. So what do you think the players that we brought in, and where do you think it's shown that we're going in the future?
I mean, I can't really speak to the kind of players they are, because there's honestly, for most of them, there's not a lot out there. I thought that Chris Campagna would have YouTube highlights somewhere, but I couldn't find anything concrete beyond him on a podcast. But I think if you just look at the profile of player we're signing now, you can like kind of draw a pretty sharp comparison with the summer. I always say summer. It's not the summer, the winter of 2019 into 2020, when we had like that massive clear out and loads of players coming in. And it reminds me of that because if you look at the age profile of players we signed that winter 2020, they were all like 22, 23 years old. And I think like anyone could see that was a strategy. It was like, right, we're signing them 22, 23, sell on value. And they haven't all worked out, but a lot of them have. And I kind of always thought that was quite a good idea. And I thought, to be honest, some of them would have been sold, like just in terms of their profile when we signed them. But if you fast forward to now, I can see pretty much the same thing happening again. Like if you look at the players we've signed who will be here next year, there's Fumpa, 21 years old, Amla, 21 years old, Escobar, 22 years old, Campagna, 20 years old, Noaja, 18 years old, and then the two development guys who are 17 and 18, I think. And I think that tells you a lot. That tells you that the management and recruitment team have probably sat down and gone, this team we've got now, number one, hasn't quite worked out, and number two is aging out as well. Like the average age of the team is kind of creeping into the upper 20s now, the mid 20s to upper 20s. And I think they're just kind of replacing them with these 21, 22-year-olds who are going to have sell-on value, who are a few years off their peak as well. And it seems to be a pretty obvious strategy to me.
Do you feel like it's a dangerous road to go down again though, because they're unknown values again? You know what I mean? Like a lot of them are kind of unknown, whereas like Forge, and I get criticized for bringing this up all the time, like Forge and stuff like that. Like they kind of have a mixture of both, if you know what I mean. Like they'll go out and they'll get a Jordan Hamilton, and then they'll bring in a Pacias, you know what I mean? So they kind of have a mix, whereas we just tend to go one way or like we don't. We're, as I said before, like we're just trying to like hoping that guys come good, and like they're not really like proven, if you know what I mean. So like, do you think it's a dangerous strategy, or do you think like we'll eventually get it right?
I think the way the club probably see it is you have these youngsters, but then you have the older heads as well. So if you think about players who are probably returning next year, the only players over 25, I'd say, who are a lock would be Jeremy, Rampy, and Santos. So I think if you're the club, you're probably sitting there going, yeah, we'll bring in these youngsters, but we've also got like Morelli, who will be 26, 27 next season.
Yeah.
He's kind of like our established older head. We've got Rampy and Jeremy, and you have that experience dotted around them. I mean, in theory, that's what will happen, but we've both seen it doesn't always work out like that. So yeah, it's definitely a gamble, but I think everything you do in a developmental league is a gamble. There's no real guarantees, is there, at this level? I don't think.
No, definitely not. But I guess like the good thing is that, you know, like Fumpa will have some games in his legs. Amla, like Fernandez, like has played a full season. So I mean, like I kind of some of that
Salter
younger,
as well.
Yeah, like so some of that kind of younger group who we expect to kind of stay around have had that they've performed at this level. You know what I mean? Like I mean, like, you know, like Fumpa has shown that. I think that once he has like a full preseason and stuff like that, he's going to be a huge asset. Fernandez is, you know, like probably one of the best players we've signed in terms of how good he is and the potential. You know, I think that's probably one of the best players we've signed in terms of that. But you know, like, I do agree with you, like in terms of like, you know, keeping Rampy and Jeremy is going to be a huge part of this. I think like you can just see them on the pitch, how they're just moving. You know, like I feel like sometimes they're like the little puppet master behind people trying to get them to move. Like, you know,
we've said it before. I think they're mummy and daddy, aren't they? Yeah. They're like the team's mum and dad. Basically, they're the parents and they're like the adults in the room who are just putting out fires. And I think what's interesting, did you see I can't remember who tweeted it out, but someone tweeted out the under 21 minutes table. Did you see that?
I saw there a while ago, and I know that Ottawa were like struggling, and they kind of they released that statement saying that they've got it in hand. But you know, like they've got like, I think they've got one player, there's the Barhouse or whatever that kid's name is, like he's been
doing it all for him. Yeah,
he's the one they've kind of like put the banker on. But like the thing is now, like, do they kind of just go like, all right, we've kind of made the playoffs now, like let's get the kids in there?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's what they'll do.
But or do they want that prestige of like coming top of the league? Because they're gonna have to do something. I mean, like I think the league like has said that there's gonna be a punishment, or there's gonna be like ineligibility for the playoffs. And I think that'd be a PR disaster for Atletico if that happens. So they're like, I think they're going to have to do what we just said is like put, which if you remember, like back in the day when United were kind of running away with the league, and then they'd have a Champions League game in midweek, and they'd put out the kids on a Saturday, and it was this big thing back home. Like that's what I'm afraid of. If they like start going like, all right, like we've made the playoffs, start shitting the bed, like that's not really fair on the other teams then, if you know what I mean, because now they're going to like play like 4 kids against when earlier on in the season they had their best team out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of hurts the integrity of the league a little bit because the teams they're playing later have an advantage. The thing I found interesting about that table though was it's pretty much the league table flipped. So if you like, you put a mirror in the middle of the league table. So the top 4 teams are the top 4 teams in the league have the lowest under 21 minutes, and the bottom 4 teams have the highest under 21 minutes. And it's a bit like a no shit moment, isn't it? Like, oh yeah, the youngest teams in the league are going to suffer because, like, Arsene Wenger used to always say this, that you pay for you pay for a young player's development in points. Like I remember he used to always say that when we were building this young Arsenal team, and you really do, because like the worst 4 teams in the league are the youngest 4 teams in the league. It's as simple as that. So, and I guess if you kind of like take a few steps back from the league and separate yourself from the emotions of the league, like our wants and needs as a fan don't always align with the wants and needs of the clubs in the league. Yeah. Like it is like we know it's a development league, isn't it? Like, so I think success to us as a fan is winning the title, winning the league. Success to the club is that as well. Of course it's that. But I think success to a lot of the clubs is how much money they can make from selling players, because again, it is a developmental league. And I think that's I wouldn't say there's a tension there, but it's an interesting dynamic, I think, when as a club you've got to think of 2 things as success, whereas as fans, like, we just want to win stuff. And you look at Ottawa's model, like they're doing really well this season because they've probably thrown quite a lot of money at older players, more established players to get success on the pitch. Whereas our model, or York, maybe not so much York, but our model, or maybe Vala's model, is more to develop young players with a mind to selling them on and getting some resale value from them, whilst also trying to win championships as well. And yeah, I just found that quite interesting looking at that table.
I think Ottawa kind of had to do something in terms of that, because it's like obviously they've got a name to live up to, and I mean the first 2 seasons weren't very successful in terms of that. Like obviously like it was more difficult for them because they were playing catch up with everybody else, but at the same time, with the name associated with them, they had to show that they're, you know, that it's the Canadian league, they should be on top, you know what I mean? So I think
and that also means they're less reliant on player sales because they've got this financier
in the background.
Yeah, so they don't need to do that really.
And they also have like a pool of talent that they can tap into too, which we don't. But I feel like, I think you're right, because obviously we don't get TV money. Like you're pretty much banking on the fans turning into gate to pay the bills kind of thing, and then like you know, like the bits of sponsorship outside and stuff like that. But I just, the problem for us is that like we're trying to do that model, but we haven't been very good at it so far, unfortunately. And it like, you know, like we haven't sold a player yet. Whereas, you know, like obviously York have, Calgary has, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, like what we're trying to do, you know, on both fronts hasn't been very successful so far. So,
and I guess another side of that as well would be that, like you said, we rely a lot on gate money. And I think if you look at attendance recently, it's been down for the first time, really. Not dramatically down. It's still like in the upper 5,000s, but previously it's always been in the low to mid 6,000s. And I think the club are probably conscious of that and have an eye on that, and are thinking, okay, maybe the on-field product is starting to get to the point where it's harming attendances a little bit, and that might play into the thinking, because that's just as important. That financial side of it is just as important as a financial hit would get from selling a player. So I'm sure they're aware of that too.
Yeah, and like, you know, like I don't want to kick anybody down, and obviously we've had 2 victories at home now in a row, which is going to help coming into that later part of the summer when there's not as much to do. So we might see attendances kind of bump back up again. But I'm sure that's their bread and butter, and it's something that they kind of have been keeping their eye on. So just let's move into the games here. But before I do, I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping. Well done to Pacific. They were like last night's game, like they were kind of out far for most of it. Jamar Dixon had a rush of blood to the head and lost his fucking mind, basically. And they just managed to dig a result out of it and went down penalties, unfortunately. So, like, I think we've been really lucky that Pacific and Forge have like for a league that's so young, have really done us proud in terms of what they've been able to do in CONCACAF. So congratulations to them. My buddy Steve was in Toronto and brought me back this beautiful scarf.
Nice.
Yeah.
Steve Steele, yeah?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to Steve for that. He got to see I can't remember who they were playing, but it was 2-2, and that one of the Italian defenders they signed scored an absolute banger of a goal. So
I saw that. Yeah.
So
he was at all the sports, wasn't he? He was at like a baseball game earlier in the day as well.
Yeah,
what a weekend that was.
I know.
Going to the sports.
I know. And then on the weekend he went to see. The reason why he was there was to go see the Strokes and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So he had quite the weekend. And then
I know he's around my age because that's very 2001, 2002. Like he's got to be mid-30s, like I am.
And then one of my this isn't the Steve Steele podcast, but just he was telling me that he went to obviously because we don't have these in Halifax. He went to the Louis Vuitton store in Toronto. Jesus. And guess who was there? Insigne.
No way.
And he said he was too shy to go over and say hello to him. I was like, no. Dude, you're the least shyest person I know in the whole wide world. So anyway, thanks to Steve. So moving on to the Ottawa game, which was how can we describe it? A fucking shit show. So of officiating. It's like we had an amazingly bright start, and I think Stephen Hart has abandoned whatever he was doing at the start of the season and has kind of firmly landed himself at the 3-5-2 thing, which I think is working amazingly well. I think we're playing really good football. The bright start that we had was incredible, and then we had the Lamotte offside. So what did you think of the start and the offside the offside decision?
Yeah, it wasn't offside, and it was really annoying because I think that would have probably been one of the best goals as a club we've ever scored.
I know, right?
In terms of like team play and build up, pattern play, it was like you could just see like the combination work they'd probably done on the training ground worked, and they all looked kind of a bit shocked when it went in. They're like, "Oh fuck, we did it! We can do what we do on the training pitch." And then it was very annoying that it got ruled out. I agree. I think the 5-3-2, 3-5-2 is far better for this group of players. If you look at the personnel we have and the qualities they have, it's far more suited to this formation. Not forever. I think, again, we've said this before, but like game by game, the other teams will get more data points on us. They'll figure out how this works and how to exploit it. But then hypothetically, then we have the 4-3-3 to go back to as well. But I think, like I say this genuinely with no inside knowledge whatsoever, but I think Stephen Hart's pulled rank a little bit and gone, thank you, Alejandro Dorado. Like, thank you for like giving us this very Spanish, very modern way of playing, but it stopped working. And I think he's just gone back to a way of playing that he's a lot more comfortable with and understands a lot better. Again, that's me completely guessing, but that's what it feels like to me. I feel like this is a much more Stephen Hart way of playing than the 4-1-2-3 with false nines and inverted wingers and all of that modern stuff. Like, I think you have to accept that this league is at a certain level where, I mean, like, for that to work, it's like quite advanced positional play where it's all about roles and jobs rather than positions, and it's about interchanging, it's about knowing your zone, exploiting your space, and I'm just not sure the quality of player is here to really make that work. So going to something a bit more agricultural, a bit more functional, like 5-3-2, definitely working for us. And if you kind of trace a line back to the Forge game, actually, we lost it 1-0, that Forge game. Like, that's when we started with it, because I think the 4-2 defeat against York was rock bottom, and that was everyone kind of looking at each other and going, something needs to fucking change because this is dire.
That was a huge. I honestly think that's a huge turning point in the season. I think that
Yeah.
I think that same thing again. I don't have any insider knowledge, but I feel like they probably sat down as a management group, Stephen, Matt, Derek, Alejandro, like whoever, and just said, right, we need to fucking fix this because, as you said, the fans are getting probably for the first time getting on their back a little bit, and they kind of needed to pull rank a little bit and as like switch back to which like it reminded me of like last year when we were playing these games and we were playing so well, but we just couldn't find the back of the net, and it feels like we're our possession play is really good. Like we're kind of Stephen Hart has talked an awful lot about like moving the ball faster, and I think we have the ability to move the ball faster with this formation than what we're. I just feel like we're just getting bogged down. And do you think that this has anything to do with like like obviously like Daniels hasn't been starting? Like, do you think that's anything to do with it?
I do. He's a confusing player, isn't he? He's really fucking confusing. He's so talented. He's got so much talent, and I feel like he's going to be a player that will do really, really well at some point in his career at a club. But I think like players are really affected by the type of team they're playing for. Like you could stick a player like him in a different club and he'll look like the best player in the league. But for whatever reason, with how we play, with our principles, it doesn't quite work. It doesn't quite work for him. He's a roamer. He likes to move around a lot. He doesn't like to be stationed in one area of the pitch. And I think we need more structure, and I think we look better with structure. And yeah, he's been the one that's come out as a result of that. Although to be fair, he played against Ottawa and he had quite a good game against Ottawa. So I'm not like writing the guy off completely. Like I think he's still got something to offer. But
what I find like I don't want to be too critical of him either. But I think in that Ottawa game, like as you said, like he's kind of like a free spirit a little bit. He likes to roam around and stuff like that. But like when something doesn't come off, like rather than getting stuck back in and trying to win the ball back, he just kind of just has this kind of flippant attitude of like, oh well, whatever. And I think that's for what we're trying to do, like what we are as a club, it just doesn't fit. Like even Joe Morelli when he's playing, like he tracks back and he's like he runs and he has a zone that he has to work within to like close people down and stuff like that. Whereas like I find with Daniels, as talented as he is, like he just has this tendency not to, like, once he loses the ball, just to kind of go fuck it, somebody else's job. Like
I don't think it's flippancy, and I don't think it's that. I think it's a confidence thing. I actually think as a weird thing to say about someone who plays like him, but I think he's quite an insecure player, and like, I read it as him. He gets really annoyed at himself, but in that split second where he gets annoyed at himself and throws his arms in the air, like you look at the second Ottawa goal, him and Jeremy kind of get in each other's way. And their reactions to that happening are completely opposite. Jeremy's reaction is, fucking hell, I need to sprint back because I've got a counter here. And Daniel's reaction is arms in the air, looking disappointed with himself and a bit annoyed. And I think, like, I think with him, the problem's between his ears. That's the issue with him. I think, but I don't think it's flippancy. I think it's just like he gets really annoyed at himself because he didn't do well or something.
It was even like for the first goal too, like when he kind of miscontrolled, like Sam played an absolute hospital pass back to him, and he tried to control it with his chest, and like you don't have that much time. Like as much as you like this league is a development league and whatever, that you just don't have that much time to like start chesting the ball down like 25 yards from goal, and then when he lost the ball, then like it was the same thing again. And like you're probably right. I'm just like looking at it from the way that I saw it, and like I'm a lot more negative than you, I guess, as people always tell us. But it was certainly something that people picked up on Twitter and stuff like that. Like he's kind of, and I think you're right. Like that it's flipping wasn't a great term. I just think that maybe you're right that he's just angry with himself and he just kind of has that. But in professional football, that split second is everything. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And when you're a fan looking out like inside and you see Jeremy busting his bollocks off to get back, and like obviously like it was a tablet that beat like 4 players. But it started like from that like he was busting his bollocks to get back, and then we've got somebody who doesn't, and if somebody who can't read people as good as you, like that's kind of the way it would look, is that it's just him.
No, mate, it might be that as well. It's just, we interpret body language in different ways, and I just kind of interpret it as a self-confidence thing for some reason. But yeah,
so like to flip that one, one of the big things that's kind of come out of all this is like Mo Omar has suddenly turned into this something's like, I don't know whether they've like given him like extra Weetabix or like they're like putting speed into his sugar puffs. I really don't know what's going on here, but it's
Are you accusing the club of doping?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody I feel
Derek Mann is going to sue you to pieces, mate.
I feel bad. He's got to get like randomly drug tested at the next. There's actually a really good Roy Keane story. He's at the World Cup in '94, and he was called back for like a drug test, and he said like because of the heat that was there in the States at the time, he couldn't piss, like, so he had to like try and hydrate himself. So he's like there for like 2 or 3 hours, like drinking bottles of water. So when he did it and he walked back out, the team would fucked up from there. It's like the most Irish thing ever. It's like, oh, fuck him, you can make his own way back. But yeah, so like, what a change, man. Like, it's great to see. Like, we've kind of talked about like how he just like maybe that he needs to come back and do whatever, but something's changed. And I don't know whether it's Stephen Hart's got in his ear and said to him, listen, man, you're a fucking good player, and this is like, we need you in there. Because I mean, defense, and then we'll get to later on Pacific, like he was fantastic in both games, and he's got a bite to his game that I don't think we really we thought that Sammy Salter was the guy that had a bit of like the back chats, but Omar likes to get stuck right in there, doesn't he? Huh?
Yeah, mate, he's a bit of a hothead, but he does it really cerebrally, doesn't he? Like, he always seems like he's on the edge, but he's also in control and knows not to tip over the edge. Yeah, he's been brilliant the last 3 games, to be honest. Against Valor, he was really good as well. Like, there was a moment in the Pacific game when we still were playing 5-3-2 before we switched. Well, I just looked at him and I thought, like, this is his team now. This is Omar's team now. Everything was going through him. He was like kind of the technical reference point for players. They were looking for him as their outball, as their release valve, their safety ball. And I thought you could kind of see through like a hazy window, but you could kind of see the next step for the team and what it might become with a midfield of him as a 6 and Rampy and Jeremy as the 8s. And it looked really, really good and really promising. Yeah, he's a really interesting player. Like, I find he's got a really odd, it's like strangely graceful running gait. Like, he kind of runs like a gazelle or something, doesn't he? Or like a deer or something. Like, he's kind of got these like little soft feet, and he just moves around the pitch very, very gracefully. And then it contrasts with him being a bit of a nutter when he's like charging into a brawl. But he just looks full of confidence now. I think being trusted as a 6 against Valor and really excelling, getting in the team of the week, you just kind of see his chest puff out a little bit in the next games, and him thinking, I could be the man here. And I liked as well that, so against Ottawa, he played as a centre back, and against Pacific and Valor, he played as a 6. But going back to kind of what we were talking about with positions versus roles, I actually think even though in one game he's a centre back and in one game he's a centre midfielder, I think he's basically playing the same role in both of those games. He's like our deep lying playmaker. He's always our spare ball. He's always our free man, and we can hit him with a pass, wrap it into him, and trust him to take it in those areas and pass out of it as well. So yeah, really interesting player, and I'm really excited about watching him develop, actually, like just on aside from the team and aside from like supporting the team, just as a player, I'm interested to see what he might become.
Yeah, I actually should have, when we were talking earlier on about players that have a resale value, you can definitely see that, if he keeps on the trajectory, like he could be something, because you were totally right. Like when he received the ball, like he wasn't like, I felt like he was rushing stuff earlier on in the season. I think that's probably why he was getting hooked. Like, he was just kind of like just not making the smartest of passes, and like the last couple of games he's just stroking the ball around, and he just like, he's assured, and he just knows what he's up to. And even when he's playing centre back, like I thought that when he played against Guelph in the start of the season, he didn't have a very good game, and he played a lot better when he moved into midfield. But
I think as a centre back, he needs to be part of a 3 as well.
yes,
So he can kind of step in and be more of a midfielder. Whereas a 2, you've not really got that time on the ball to play like that.
Yeah, it's probably like a positional thing too. Like when with 3, you kind of have a little bit more of a leeway because you can depend on the 2 guys besides. Whereas with 1, it's like if this goes over this guy's head, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
So he's been fantastic. I guess like the thing we need to talk about too is like like the Tissot goal came in, like how he outran Fernandez for that. I have no fucking clue. It was just odd, but like then we had the comeback, and we were knocking on the door and we were threatening, and I thought the goal for Lamotte's goal was excellent, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we scored the goal that Forge scored, which is creating an overload on the wing, a cutback goal, like really, really nice goal. And I was happy for Lamotte as well because I think he's from that area, so I'm sure whenever he plays in Ottawa, he has a lot of family there. So it was good for him to have that beautiful goal cancelled out, but then get his moment as well.
And then I thought he's another one that's kind of stepped up a little bit in the last couple of games and has been excellent. But then we had Fumpa come on and do his Fumpa thing and win us a penalty, which like it was dubious, being honest with you. I wasn't so sure about it, but like I felt like we were owed one anyway from the offside thing, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But I thought that Simon Salter again kind of stepped up, and he's a really good penalty taker. Like
he is.
He's kind of taken on the mantle, obviously, from Akeem and Joe, and he's kind of just gone with it, hasn't he?
And again, we've talked about this before, but that was about 4 penalties ago. But we have an absurdly good record with penalties.
I know, it's amazing.
We still haven't missed one 4 years. I think we've had like 17, 18 penalties or something. And again, the penalty conversion rate is 75%. That's like your normal penalty conversion rate. So we should have missed like at least like 4 or 5. And the fact that we haven't is like we're due one. Trust me, we're due a penalty miss.
I think it's because because of the strikers, like they're not getting that many chances really. And it's just like this is probably going to be my only chance to fucking score here. So I better.
Well, if you look at the goals we've scored. I think we've only scored like 4 or 5 from open play and 8 penalties. So that tells you everything.
Wow, it's crazy. But yeah, like and the thing I liked and like was that like he grabbed the ball straight away and went back to because this was a game we had to win. Like like we're talking about like our playoff chances just gone out the window here, and this is like our way of trying to get back. And I don't think you can fault anybody for just if they just kind of left and went for the point. But I was really happy, and I know that it kind of cost us in the end, but I was like really happy that we had that mentality of like, fuck, we need to get back in here, and I really appreciate that. But just turning our attention to the fucking mess at the end of like when I was talking to Ludwig there, he was kind of saying that the players were looking at their phones in the dressing room because like none of them had any idea what the fuck had just happened.
Yeah.
Like so from your point of view, like I know that some people were trying to say that like I think I thought that he gave for the handball originally, but then obviously there's this thing that they do, like they wave the flag when it's a handball or something. So it was an offside that he gave.
100%, yeah. So he raises the flag for offside, and then my confusion over this, and I chatted to a lot of people on Twitter about this, and like, so my confusion was I thought once that offside flag is up, that negates everything that happens afterwards, and kind of the example I used was like if I 2-footed tackled someone, but then the ball spilled away and hit someone's arm, that doesn't then become a handball. Like my 2-footed tackle is still the offence and the red card. So my understanding was like the handball doesn't really matter because offside has already been given. And that's what I put on Twitter. And Ollie Platt replied saying that actually, and I haven't checked this, but I assume he knows what he's talking about. He was like, actually how offside works, and I've fucking been watching football 30 years and I didn't know this, is it's not actually offside until the active player becomes involved. So if it hadn't have hit Santos and would have just gone through, it would have been offside because then the Ottawa player is active. That was his explanation of it. which to me sounds fucked as a rule. But if that is the rule, that is the rule. Fair play to the ref. But I think it was one of those that just as a football fan watching it, it didn't feel right. Like I didn't feel like that was fair. What happened? But yeah, what can you do? What was your understanding of it?
Like being honest, I think I saw somebody did the same thing. They just said that like the offside flag went up and then because the ball had hit his hand or something like that. Like I don't know. It's like football's really confusing sometimes like that.
Yeah.
And like I was just like, okay, like, but I just felt like no matter what way they looked at it, they handled it horribly. And then it really looked like to everybody watching that it was the Ottawa players who influenced that decision and not the referee and the linesman. I think that's the problem with football in general, and I think it's something that I'm definitely starting to notice is creeping into the league. This kind of thing of badgering referees. I've seen it the Calgary game, like when Jeremy was sent off, there was like a lot of like badgering around the referee. Like Bobby Smirniotis does it all, like Forge are the worst for it. They're like Becker and Koga in the referees' faces, and I really think it should have been something that should have been kind of set out from the start. That like people always look back to rugby and how the referees are
mic'd up, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're also like they're beacons of respect. Like you don't disrespect them, and when you do, like you're gone. And I feel like football has never kind of followed suit when it should have and said like that, if you surround the referee and you're kind of like screaming abuse in their face, you should be gone, like no ifs or buts. Like, I think until they crack down on it, like this stuff will happen. And it just really looked at with the crowd booing because there was a pretty decent crowd there. And then the Ottawa players and the rest, it just looked at that's why they changed their decision, which just perception wise was just kind of shitty. And it was just it was a really good game too, and I just felt like it was like a terrible ending to it, and it really felt like a big kick in the bollocks too, because we've worked so hard to get back into that game, and there's some big performances. So your Heineken man of the match for that one, I remember this week, so I didn't have to I won't have to do a separate tweet this week. So
I would say Lamoth, and I kind of almost want to give him it for Pacific as well, but yeah, no, Lamoth definitely. I think he's gone up a level recently. I don't know what's changed. I don't know if anything's changed, but he seems to be a lot more comfortable in his own skin, and you can see the technical level of the player is super high. Like some of the little touches he has, like look at it and go, Jesus, where did that come from? That's not a CPL first touch, what he's just done there. But then with him, it's kind of everything that came after wasn't always really there in terms of like up until a week ago, his end product was pretty poor. Like he'd find himself in some quite good positions, but not be able to finish. I felt like he's the kind of player sometimes who his first one or two actions are really, really good, but then the last pass he plays is not always there. Like he'll take it really nicely in a tight area, he'll get away from his marker, but then the pass won't be there at the end of it. But that's starting to come now. So yeah, hopefully it continues.
Yeah, he's technically, as you said, he's a really good player. Like I mean, like watching him, you can like I think out of the midfield players, like he's definitely like one of the better ones. I personally I think it's like obviously you've got Mo Omar starting to come good, which is probably pushing him on because there's more competition. Competition breeds, like good play and stuff like that. And I also think that I feel like he's like maybe somebody's just got on his ear a little bit and just said like, hey, like you don't need to worry as much because we've got Jeremy and Rampersat in the middle blocking stuff off. So like push yourself a little bit forward and don't be afraid to take a shot. Like it's really weird. Like as a team, like our decision making when it comes to like shot taking, the final ball is poor sometimes. I think like there's nothing wrong sometimes with just taking a pop, and I think like you see like some of the shots we take and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like I'm sure I've seen Rampy probably like try 35 yarders like a shit ton of times, and I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like
is a case of the Karumas. Karuma in 2019 every game it'd sky a couple, wouldn't he?
But then like you feel like Lamotte is the one that has the technique to actually probably do that, and it should be him taking the pops, you know what I mean?
Do you remember a goal he scored in the Valor bubble? Again, I think it was against Valor actually. Like he twatted it top corner, like on half volley or something, and so he's got that in him.
Yeah, so that I just feel like he like maybe with this bit of confidence in the goals, and as you said, he was in the team of the week, which will probably help him too. But I'm going to give it to Mo Omar. There was actually one thing I should have brought up before we move on. Christian Oxner. We're low to talk about goalkeeping positioning and stuff on this podcast, but I honestly feel like on this one, this was not his fault. It was just a freak of fucking nature.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
anybody in their right mind would look for that cross to come into the box, and he was just positioning himself for it, and nobody would expect. I think it's unfair to blame him for that goal.
Yeah, and it's not a fucking chance that guy meant it either.
Oh
Not a
my,
chance.
I
He,
like
he spooned that cross and he
he's a
wazzed
lot.
it.
He's a lying bastard if he said that he fucking
Yeah.
meant any part of that. But like in fairness to Oxner, like he showed what he's good at. Like when that save from Tablet, like like he got himself out properly, and like how he saved that shot, I don't know. It spooned off his arm, but I mean, like you got to be as a keeper, you got to get your arm there, right? So I know that a lot of people are not the biggest fans of Oxford right now, and we had Basket come in for the Pacific game, but I think like fair is fair, and I definitely don't think that was his fault. So anyway, moving on to the Pacific. So what did you think of the formation for this one and the personnel? Like what did you like? We had I think we had Mo Omar kind of playing more as a six in this one again, right? So what did you think of the changes that Stephen had made for this one?
Bit of a surprise to see Jeremy come out. I didn't realize that he'd accumulated a yellow card suspension. So when like I read that on my phone, I thought, oh shit, because he's I feel a lot more comfortable watching us when he's playing. Like he brings control and security. So yeah, I was a bit worried that he wasn't playing. This isn't a knock on Polisi. I like Polisi, but I was happy that Lamoff was chosen, and I'm happy Omar moved back in as a six as well. Because I think I get the impression Rampy really enjoys playing as an eight. I think he likes it a lot more. He likes being closer to goal. And that is, I felt like about a month ago, you started to see him hit a bit of a wall. And I think he'd stopped. He wasn't playing with as much enjoyment as you see with him a lot of the time. And now he's back to like doing his little tricks and like nutmegging people and stuff. And he seems back. So that's been good for him. Brilliant for Omar playing as a six. Again, Lamoff has been in good form, so good to see him there. And I think because we played Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, I think Wednesday was closer to our B team, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like the priority has to be the home games now because, like we've said, playoffs are almost certainly gone. But from the club's perspective, they want people to be renewing their season tickets in the next month or two. And the way that's going to happen to the levels that they're probably hoping for is for people to leave Wanderers grounds over the next month in a good mood and having had a good time and seeing it as a day out that brings them happiness, not disappointment. So I think the priority now is big time on win our home games. Like we're not making the playoffs, doesn't matter hugely what happens away, but win the home game. So yeah, I think the team we saw on Saturday is our first 11, you could say, minus Jeremy.
Yeah, I definitely think that's kind of the thinking. Like I mean, like we had Funpot on the bench and stuff like that on Wednesday and stuff like that. So it's definitely like gearing more towards like making sure that we perform at home. It was like I think it was one of those weird ones where I thought we were playing better when they had 11 than when
that happened. That's so common, isn't it? That happens so much.
As soon as like one of our big things is that when we're given the ball and we have to try and break people down, we're not very good at it, unfortunately. And I like we did create a couple of chances, but it was just one of those games where it was just like kind of both teams were canceling each other out because like forwards just basically like just pressed the hell out of us pretty much and like just sat back really. It was an odd game to watch.
It's when a team gets a player sent off early like they did, it's really difficult to break them down because they kind of have enough time to really get used to defending and they like set up a low block, they defend the penalty box, and they kind of lost all ambition to score as well. They had like one decent one-on-one chance, but other than that, Pacific weren't really trying to get a goal. And when you're playing against a team who just have nine men just sitting in there, maybe sorry, eight men just sitting in there in one outlet. It's very difficult to break down. And I thought we did have some. I saw that a bit on Twitter actually, that we didn't create much, but I thought like we created loads in that game. Again, I might have been, my memory might be playing tricks on me, but like there was Lamoth had a far easier chance to score than his actual goal in the box.
Yeah.
Omar missed an open goal. Salter had a one-on-one, and Salter had like a volley in the penalty box. I think there was one more. Like I think we had an XG of like 2 point something after that game, but the finishing was bullshit. Really it's like bad finishing.
Salter needs a goal. That's not a penalty at this stage. Like I think
he's lashing at him a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, but I didn't really want to bring it up, but that Mo Omar one was.
I know, bless him.
We think you're amazing, but dude, stay as a six. Anyway, so obviously the big change was the big game changer was the red card. So it was another kind of a controversial one, this one. So what was your take on the red card?
Watching it live, like it was really hard to see what happened because it was like where I sit, it was the opposite side of the pitch. And it just looked like a shoulder badge to me. Like it didn't really look like much from where we were sitting. So I was really surprised when the red card came out, and like we were trying to like get Fubo up on our phones to watch the replay, like to see what had actually happened. But it was the sun glare and all that. But watching it back, I think it was a red card. Like he fucking forearm smash. He does a forearm smash on him.
It was like I watched it on TV, and at the time I was like, he got the ball and whatever, but then the more you watch it, it does look like he was leading in with his shoulder, and like I think 20 years ago he probably would have got away with that because he got the ball. But the way the game is, especially around protocols with concussions and stuff like that, like, and I think it was actually the assistant referee on this one who actually gave the referee the heads up that it was a red card, because like poor Corey Bent was spark out. And like Manny Aparicio is a great player, but he has these moments like that where it's like like there was no need for him to lead in the way. Like I'm sure he'll say he was trying to protect himself, but it was just an odd one. Like I can kind of say from both sides, where old school people would be like, it's a fucking game, and then there's people who were like, I think it's a Victoria Gooners, like a guy on Twitter who is like or
is
like
the ref guy.
And he straight up said it was a red card. So I think with people like that, it's better to defer to their judgment because they know more than what we do. So it was
Merchant Sailor on Twitter, so he's a local ref as well, so I always defer to him on decisions like that.
But the afters was pretty cool to watch. Like their assistant manager got sent off, and it was like James Merriman. I posted the aftermatch interview with James Merriman, and you could tell he was fucking seething. So and it's one of those things that like you believe that you're right. And like he was like, it was a yellow card at most kind of thing. It was like a red card, no. But I feel like if the roles were reversed and it was somebody else charging to one of his players, he wouldn't feel the same way. So and one of the things I did want to bring up as well, just before we move on to the Molson Mailbag, is
I love that name.
I love it, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amla, he actually came on here, and a lot of people were praising his performance for the time that he came on. Like, I mean, I thought he was like definitely putting himself about and was causing them some issues, especially like when he was closing people down when they had the ball at the back and stuff like that, and was causing them quite a few issues. There was one where he nearly closed the ball down and was able to run through. So what did you think of him when he came on?
Yeah, he was very good. He was a lot sharper than the first game we saw him in against York. His touch was better, and I can actually see, like, I remember when we signed him, he was described as being quick, but I didn't really see that against York because everything he did was back to goal. But with a bit more room to play in, you can tell he is fast as well. And it's just nice to have a different physical profile of player to bring on. Like, I felt like we had a lot of similar sized and similar athletes before, but now you've kind of got Fumba, who's short and fast. You've got Amla, who's big and is more of a target man. So it just gives you a few more golf clubs in the bag, doesn't it, to play with? So yeah, he was good. It was promising.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he makes it out for the rest of the season. I think that it's another one of those where a good preseason the professional level again will definitely help him out. And but Basket came in. It seems to be everything's all forgiven now. I thought he played pretty well, commanded his box really well. Like they put out some fluff piece today. Talking to like his mom. I didn't realize his mom represented Canada at the Winter Olympics.
No, same.
Yeah, so it was a really nice article. I feel like that one was probably been in the bag. They probably had to push it back a week or two after the whole suspension thing. But it was good to see him back, and like good to see him enjoying his football. And
I'd like to have seen in the article his mum scolding him for the. You shouldn't speak to people like that, Kieran. You're a naughty boy.
I didn't bring you up to call anybody a cunt.
You're not the Messiah. You're a very naughty boy. You know. How do you say his name? Just as this is a tangent, not a tangent. It's just an off comment. How do you say his surname?
Yeah.
The guy the goalkeeper we've just been talking about.
Basket.
Because so. I say basket, like in terms of accents, because that's what I call a basket. But with surnames, it's like one of those things where people get really touchy if you don't say a surname in the accent the person is from. Like, with Alfonso, I say Davis. I say Alfonso Davis, but people get really angry when
it's Davies.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm always conscious on here whenever we talk about him to like say basket like a name is Kieran Basket instead of Kieran Basket. And like the reason that's in my head is I was listening to we had that British commentator, didn't we, for the Pacific game?
Yeah.
And he was saying basket as well, and I was like thinking, I bet people are fucking stewing listening to this.
The family are home furiously typing emails to One Soccer. It's basket. So I guess we're gonna have to like put on a southern drawl every time we say his name now, because you've just put that into my head. So yeah, thanks, man. Cheers. I must say as well, during the commentary, when they scored, when I think when they scored, the camera shot over to like block 108. And the guy said like, "Oh, the privateers are going crazy over there." And I was just like, that's gonna start around somewhere. So it's like, Jesus. So who was your Heineken man in the match for this one?
Omar.
Okay, I'll flip it and I'll give it to the Lamotte.
When we said it for the last game, I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah,
because I like to be honest, they were the top two for both games for me.
I thought both of them were excellent, and it could have easily gone either way for both games.
Or Rampy would be up there as well for the Pacific game.
So moving on to the Molson mailbag. For the first one, we've got Denton again. Thank you, Denton. We really appreciate you giving us the questions, because it saves me having to write out questions for Gary and topics to talk about. The Wanderers grounds are hosting Guelph versus Cape Breton in a few weeks. So this is like I think season ticket holders are getting a free game out of this or something. Do you think there's a push right now to make U Sports and L1C games more popular in the Canadian sports market? Is that necessary, and do you think it'll work?
Yeah, I think there probably is. There's been a lot of talk from the club about a maritime league. So I think they're trying to whip up a bit of interest in U Sports, and it's testing the waters. It's seeing what kind of market is there for football that isn't Halifax Wanderers, and seeing how many people they can get interested in it. So yeah, I think they probably are trying to whip up a bit of interest. And I love it. I absolutely love the under-23 games, and I love this as well. It's just nice to go and watch. The atmosphere is completely different. Like, you can really just kind of sit down and have a chat during the game to people you're with, and kind of watch it. Obviously you're watching it, but you're not watching it with the same intensity and stuff. So really nice night out. So hopefully a lot of the season ticket holders go, so they get a good crowd.
I think, being honest with you, I think it would have been better. I'm a complainer, but I think, like, just in my mind, it would have been better to give the under-23 game as a free game to go and watch.
Agreed. Yeah.
Personally, because I thought that, as you said, like, I had a great time, like, just being able to sit and chat and still watch the game of football, and it wasn't just in the background I was paying attention, but at the same time it was kind of nice just to not be focusing on like every little thing for 90 minutes. It was kind of a good thing, and I think you're 100% right that this is all gearing towards how popular the maritime, like, because they have to create one. I mean, like, BC has one now. Like, there's the Quebec and Ontario thing. They have to do something, and I think it just to help the Wanderers out going forward, they need to have that pool of talent here. So I think it's just testing the water, and I'm pretty happy that it's the Capers and not just like Dahl or Smew. I think it's kind of nice that they've. I really enjoy watching Cape Breton. I think that they have a really good style of play. So then hopefully that answers your question. Joe Timothy asked, given we struggle so much to create many chances against the 10-man of Pacific, it's been a problem all season. What does this say about our setup? Why do we find it so hard to create chances? And what do we need to do going into next season to improve?
So I took a little dip into the center circle data after reading that question, because I have a lot of I think we all have a lot of preconceptions, and I was kind of always under the impression that we probably created a bit more than I thought. So I looked at expected goals first, and throughout the whole league, for goals scored, we are 8th. We joined 8th. We've got worst goals scored record with York, but for expected goals, we're 3rd, which is
Jesus Christ.
We're 3rd in the league. So I look at that and I think actually we do create chances, we just can't finish them. But then I was thinking, well, we've had a lot of penalties, and penalties tend to really skew expected goals because they've got like a value of 0.75 or something. So that really makes it look like you're creating more than you actually are. So then I looked at big chances. So each team in the league, how many big chances they have, because I think this is more of a reflection of how many chances you're creating, how many big chances you have. So Forge have the most big chances created at 38. And then there's a massive drop up to the team that's 2nd. They've got like 29, and then the team that are 7th have got 24, I think. So you've got like most of the league and a really big bunch in the middle. So you've got 38 at the top, 29 to 24.
I don't like where this is going.
And then in 8th place, you've got those boys in blue, the Halifax Wanderers, with 15 big chances.
Holy shit.
So we have 9 big chances less than any other team in the league. And like every other team other than Forge, who are way ahead, are really in a close bunch. So that's a pretty dramatic shift. And if you look again, we're 8th in the league for assists as well. Like this, we like, and that's the thing. We don't create enough like that. That's a completely fair comment to make. Not a clue how to fix it, to be honest, because I feel we're quite a streaky team with chances and stuff like that. So we'll have like a game like we did against Pacific, where again I actually thought we created quite a lot, and then you'll get like a run of those 6 or 7 games we went on without winning where we create fuck all. So yeah, that's got to be the number one. I mean, I'm saying this, I sound like a broken record, because that's been the number one aim every single preseason since the club started, was where can we get more goals from in this team? So yeah, it's a huge issue, and it's a huge challenge for the management team in the off season.
Yeah, I can't add anything, because you've literally like just all the stats you checked up on. You actually like did some research on this. Mine was just going to be generic, like we're shit, just deal with it kind of thing. So no, but I think I think our change of formation has really helped us, and I think in the last couple of games it's actually changed a little bit. I think the game against Pacific, because of the way the Pacific set, I think James Merriman set them up perfectly to go for a draw. That's all they wanted out of that. Was as soon as Manny Aparicio was gone, they wanted a draw. They wanted to take the point. They generally don't do the greatest against Halifax, I think, when they play here. So I think they were happy with just grabbing a point and going. And obviously they had their eyes towards Tuesday with the game in Costa Rica. So I think that would be an anomaly, and I wouldn't look at that as like a problem overall, but it's definitely been an issue for us. But I think the last couple of games, like the Valor game, and I think Ottawa, like we actually have been creating a little bit more, and we've kind of been getting in behind teams a little bit more, and actually using Fernandez and Tabby where they're supposed to be, and that's like getting to the boy line and getting balls back into the box. So hopefully, and we've been here many times before, we'll see a little turn in fortunes, and we get to see like some attacking football. But I guess I wouldn't hold my breath on that. But hey, hopefully that answers you somewhat. Gary definitely did his homework on that one, and I appreciate that, Gary. Steve Steele, like it seems to be the Steve Steele show tonight. So have the last two let me see. Okay, so have the last two home wins made you feel less apprehensive in speaking about the club, as in there is now some light at the end of the tunnel. Also, York now 5th in the power rankings. Is that list randomly generated? I want you and Anthony to answer. I'll start with the power rankings. Absolute bollocks. Like the whole fucking thing. I don't understand I don't think they do power rankings back on. It's something that's
I'd never heard of it before.
It's absolute shite. I feel like at the start of the season, people were getting their knickers in a twist about it, and I was just like, this is, what are you worrying about it? It's not the league table. It's nothing. It's an absolute load of bollocks to generate content.
Exactly. That's it. Like when we look at the power rankings table, we think the purpose of that is for them to accurately assign power to each team and guess. Like, that is not the purpose of that. The purpose of the power rankings is to generate clicks and generate social media engagement. So they don't want to be accurate. They want to be as controversial as possible, whilst maintaining the veneer of, oh, this is actually who we think are doing well and stuff. So yeah, it's very,
and because it comes from the CPL itself, it's not a one soccer thing or anything like that. Like it feels like it's something that they actually put like some work into, and they put like some stats into it. It's fucking horseshit. And like, don't Steve, the next time you see it, just delete it. Just or else just type under and go, this is a load of bollocks. So I'm asking everybody, the next time the power rankings come in, just put this is a load of bollocks on there.
Anything like that comes from the league is a load of bollocks. I find it really, this sounds patronizing, but I find it really sweet how much making the team of the week means to the players. Like, they all like are really proud of it, aren't they? But it's like a fucking intern in the CPL offices who's been like thrown a bit of paperwork on Monday. Someone's gone, just fucking put something together. Like, just, I don't know, just choose whoever scored, like check their FOTMOB rating. I don't give a fuck who's in it. Just pump out this content and
on your way back from getting me a latte, just do
exactly. Yeah.
No, but to me, like the team of the week, actually, like, there's something behind this. Somebody's gone and looked at the games, I guess, and just said like, okay, like this, because they generally don't always pick the Gatorade player of the week kind of thing in there, and they just do it, player of the game, whatever, which is another load of bollocks. Like, that Gatorade thing is like, okay, so you just scored, you're the Gatorade player. It's absolute nonsense. Do I feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel? We've kind of just tipped on it there. Like, I definitely think for the next couple of games, especially the home games, as you said, is when we're going to be kind of playing like our first team will be a lot better. Our next question is Sea Brews on Twitter. Would be interested in hearing your thoughts about the Wanderers on loan to Edmonton and how their season is going. Do you see them joining the team next year? So obviously there's the big one, like Timoteo, which I think it depends on what's happening with Edmonton. I think if they're still in situ in the way that they are now, it would feel really bad taking back the player that's doing well for them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's a really shitty situation that they find themselves in. But I mean, he's obviously the one that stands out, and he's one of the assist leaders, I think, in the league now. So I mean, like,
I would have him back all day long. I don't really give a shit about the Edmonton stuff, to be honest. Like, I'm a big fan of Timoteo. Like, as all the Edmonton games I watch, I try and just like focus on him and what he's doing, and he's a really, really good player, really interesting player who will add a lot to our team if he comes back next season. Like, so he can play left wing, he can play right wing, he can play left back. I'm sure he could do a job centrally if we needed him to as well. Really smooth player, like very smooth operator, beautiful delivery on set pieces. He takes corners for Edmonton, he takes free kicks for Edmonton. And I think you look at that, and that means the coaches there really rate him technically if he's on set pieces. In terms of productivity, like, I didn't realize how good he was there as well. Like, he's got 2 goals and 6 assists this season.
That's incredible. In that
team, playing like they're rarely the better team in the games they're playing, are they? Like, they're never really on top. So for him to have got that many assists is really, really impressive. A couple of goals as well. So yeah, very interesting player who I hope is at the club next season.
But then obviously there's CJ Smith and Maheshi. Am I saying that right?
Maheshi, I think he's barely played for him, hasn't he? Maheshi,
yeah, and
a couple of appearances.
I think CJ Smith's been kind of like the same kind of way, really, hasn't he? Because
he's been in and out, off the bench a lot, and so I probably wouldn't have either of them, but definitely Timoteo I'd like at the club.
Yeah, I definitely like it's one of those things like like Edmonton they have to do something. Like I feel like they're trying their best not to be like just a shit team and just be thumped every week. And for them, like being honest, that hasn't gone that way. That they've actually put up some decent performances. Like I mean, the one against Valor, they were really good. The one against York, they were unlucky to lose that one. And they've unearthed some pretty decent players. Like I mean, like Batar is a pretty good player too. And but it's also we sent players there in the hope that we'll get game time, and it hasn't really happened for them. And same with some of the York players that they sent there. Like I mean, like I don't has Felix Ensa played a game yet? I really don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think that we can lock in Timoteo for next season. The other two, I would say they'll probably stay at Edmonton on loan if Edmonton A exists, and B if they get a new owner in, I can't see them keeping the players, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah,
so Gar, we've gone through a lot. I really appreciate you giving so much time this week. I know it's been a lot to jam into the short.
I appreciate you doing all the fucking work. I literally, mate, I just turn up and talk. You have to like plan all of this.
I fucking know.
It's piece of piss for me. You're the one doing all the work.
Today was like was one of those days. Like so, my kids. It's disgusting, but my kids were at like daycare, and then we picked them up, and we get like little messages from daycare like telling us their day, like they send us pictures of how they're doing and stuff like that, and then they give us like the breakdown of like, their toilet. So they hadn't pooped.
Really?
Yeah, so that they hadn't pooped all day. They'd only peed. So my wife went to Sobeys, and I got a message like saying like, "Dear God, meet me at the door with a towel and some wipes." My son had like literally like stat everywhere. It was all over his car seat, all over his back and stuff like that. And I was just like
like father, like son.
Yeah, I was like, I'm supposed to like fucking do an interview and do a fucking podcast. I'm all over the shop. So yeah, it's definitely, but like you're making fun, man, and I enjoy doing these. So yeah, thanks, Mailman, and we'll see you. Next game is against Edmonton away. So
Edmonton on Sunday. Edmonton on Sunday.
Are you going to watch it, or what are you doing?
I'm coming back from a wedding in Cape Breton, so it depends what time I get back, to be honest. But yeah, hopefully, and then
let me know if you're going to Stillwell, and I might actually pop down and
we'll do, mate. If I'm back in time, I will for sure. So
awesome, buddy. Talk to you then. Cheers,
mate. Bye.
Cheers. Joined by Halifax. Well, you're not new anymore because we've signed 5 or 6 new players after you, but we're joined by Ludwig Amla. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody.
Really excited to have you on the show, man. So before we kind of kick off, we always do a kind of couple of easier questions just to make life a little bit easy for you. So what's the last movie or TV show you watched?
Yes, just before calling you, I've been watching a Netflix series called Power. I don't know if you guys know about that.
No.
Yeah, I've been watching that for like 1 year now. There's a new season that just went out, so yeah, I'm sticking to that, and I'm going to that right now.
Okay, so recommended by Mr. Amla. So you say it's called Power?
Yeah, Power.
Okay, check it out. Who's the funniest person on the Halifax Wanderers?
Funniest person. I would say maybe Zachary Fernandez, because when he speaks English, his English ain't that good. So like when he speaks, it's kind of funny.
I love it. I saw the. I don't know if you saw the TikTok last night where they were like guessing the flags on TikTok.
Yeah. I saw it
I,
too. Hilarious.
oh my god, how he doesn't, how Fernandez doesn't have a concussion, I don't know. He got he got whacked pretty bad. Okay, he needs to go to geography lessons.
No doubt about that.
So, what team do you support outside of the Wanderers?
I've been a fan of Arsenal since a long time ago. Yeah.
Everybody's what?
Gunners.
Everybody in Quebec is like a big fan of Arsenal. I really don't know why. It's everybody like Jeremy. I think he said he was a fan of Arsenal. I follow Tottenham, so it just
Oh yeah, Tottenham.
yeah. So it's like a
The
knife on
enemies.
it's like a knife on my heart every time somebody says Arsenal. So yeah. So I'm gonna make this interview like really awkward for you because you're Arsenal. So so it's obviously been a crazy couple of weeks for you. So when did you find out about the interest from Halifax, and how did the move kind of come about?
So I knew about Halifax that they were interested in me. I think since March. But unfortunately, I got injured, so it kind of like cut like their interest a bit, and like they brought new players in. So I was more focused about myself getting back on the pitch and everything. And then during the month of July, they told me that they wanted to see me for 1 week because my team, my old team at PLSQ Saint Hubert,
Yeah.
we're having a game against the under 23s of Halifax. So they thought that it was the right moment for me to come in and do that week before doing the friendly game against their under 23s. So since July 17th, I've been with the team. I've trained with the team, and it went well. And then let's say like the final exam was the game against against the under 23s. It went well as well. And right after the game, the Matt he spoke to me with my agent, told me that they wanted to offer me a contract, and since that day I'm part of the squad.
That's amazing. So, as you said, you took part in the under 23s game, and I think you scored twice, right? So,
Yeah, exactly.
so what was the experience like scoring against a team that you probably thought were going to become your employer?
I mean, since I've trained with the guys, let's say that like when I scored, usually that I like to celebrate a lot. But like when I scored those 2 goals, I was trying to keep my calm, not celebrate too much, just in case. Just in case.
So, like you signed, and then you're put like straight into the team against York, I think it was. So, like, what was that like? You're going from being like on trial, the under 23s game, and then suddenly you're in the squad. Was it like a crazy couple of days? And what was it like on the day of the game when you were like going to be playing your first game for the Wanderers?
Yeah, it was crazy. Honestly, it was crazy. As I told you, like I did maybe like 2 trainings with them just before the game against York, and like I knew like the same day that I was going to start that game against York. So, but I mean, I was happy. I was happy, and I think that it showed me that the team also like have confidence in me and that they trust me, even though that I'm new, and that's something that's really important for me because I want to know that like the team still think that I can bring something uh, special to the group, like to fill the group. I mean, and yeah, I mean the game didn't win that well because we obviously we lost.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the fact that playing those first minutes with the group was really important for me.
So I went to the game on the Wednesday, the under 23 game, and there was probably, I'd say, 300-400 people, and then the York game had like 6,000 people. So what was that experience like for you? Like going from playing in a small crowd to suddenly having 6,000 crazy people.
I mean, even like doing my trial, the week that I was doing the trial, I went to the Edmonton game just before because I had to play against Edmonton, so I went to the game. So I already saw how you guys were hyping the team during the games and everything. So I kind of knew the atmosphere and everything. And yeah, honestly, like I really appreciated playing that game because I felt that the whole fans were behind us. You guys were shouting for a team, shouting our names and everything. It was a crazy atmosphere, but I really enjoyed it.
So how did you find the step up? Like, because obviously you've gone from PLSQ under 23s game to then the CPL. How are you finding the step up in the levels to the professional?
I mean, it's good. I mean, I played before even because I used to play professional in Macedonia before. So like I went pro, then I came back to the PLSQ because of a few reasons. So now the fact that I came back professional, obviously, is a big step for me because after my injury, like getting back on the field, I did a few games with Saint Hubert also, just to get back in shape. And I want to say thank you for Saint Hubert for that because they trusted me even though I got injured. And yeah, I mean from Saint Hubert to PLSQ, there's kind of a different level. But I'm trying to do my best during every session as well, training sessions to fill up for all the lads during the sessions, and yeah, that's it.
So you mentioned an injury there. So what was the injury that you had, if you don't mind me asking?
I had an LCL, so it was my ligament that got torn, but I
Ouch.
didn't need any surgery for that though. So hopefully, I thank God for that.
Just lots of rest and PlayStation or Xbox.
Yeah, nah, no PlayStation. Rest, recovery, and yeah, that's it. Rest, recovery, exercises.
So how are you fitting in with the guys in the squad? Like are they easy to get along with? And
Yeah.
I know that they do an initiation. So have you done an initiation yet?
I've done that. I've done that. I mean, like the guys were welcoming since the beginning that I came. Even during the trial as well, the guys were welcoming everybody because I already knew a few guys in the team as well before. And plus the new guys that I just met during the trial also they were really welcoming. So I really make it easier for me to play my game and show what I could do. And about the initiation, yeah, I did it. I did it just before the game against Ottawa. I had to sing. Since I dyed my hair now, I got the same hair color as a French singer called MHD. So I sang one of his songs, Nga Diabeti. I think my performance was good. I mean, the guys were happy. After that performance, they're putting the songs in the dressing room. So I think that I did well. I mean,
Okay.
I did my part.
I will. I'll ask some of the guys how you really did, and I'll let you know.
Go ahead.
So, what made you do change the hair?
Like it's not my first time. Before like I'm used to dye my hair. I like to dye my hair sometimes blonde, sometimes yellowish, orangish, just for the style. Because
Nice.
I like the style as well. Apart from football, I like modeling style stuff and everything. So yeah,
So will we see a blue for the Wanderers?
I'm not sure about the blue for the moment though. I'll stick to my blonde.
So, like you, as you mentioned it, like you like I know you were born in Denmark, but you grew up in Quebec. So, what was it like growing up in the Quebec football system? Like learning to play football, and what are the things that work really well in Quebec, and what are the things you think that they might need to improve on?
In Denmark, I used to play in a small academy called the B67, which helped me to grow and learn a lot of stuff in football. So, I mean, like my first 2 years, maybe when I came to Quebec, I maybe think that I had some more stuff than the other guys of my age, obviously. What I like about Quebec is the fact that there's a lot of like friendship during the game. It's really friendly since we are young, competitive and friendly. Yeah, a lot of tournaments as well. But I maybe think like there's missing some academies. I mean, Quebec is a big province. The fact that we only have like one academy, which is the Montreal Academy, makes it more hard for the guys to join academies and improve their game. If you compare it to Europe, where there's a lot of academies in the countries, even like cities can have two academies in the same city. So I mean, I think that the fact that we don't have a lot of academies in Quebec, even in Canada, in the whole Canada, makes it a lot more difficult for the young players to like improve themselves or get the chance to show their talent.
Well, I guess that's the good thing about the CPL is that eventually, I suppose they want to have that level. So hopefully, we'll start to see some teams in Quebec because it's the one province where we desperately need a team. I think. I think Halifax. Halifax will be in trouble because we get most of our players from Quebec. But
keep doing that. Keep doing that.
But so, like obviously, the under 23s was a part of was growing the player base in Halifax.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know Ryan and Tabby were part of the under-23s. Did they talk about their experience playing against you and what they think of the setup at the under-23?
I talked with Obeng a bit about the fact that he was playing with the U23s. He personally told me that it was kind of interesting because at least it gave the chance to the guys who wasn't really playing with the first team to at least show the talent with the under-23s. And I mean, the two games that they did against my old team, Saint-Hubert, and against Saint-Laurent, I think it was important for them because they could play in front of the Wanderers fans because there was Wanderers fans that came to the games. And they showed their skills. I think that maybe the coaches of the first team also saw some players in the U23s that might maybe interest them for the future. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully. Like there was a lot of talent. Like I thought, like some of the goalkeeper for your team was really good. I thought he had a really good game. So,
Yeah.
so as you mentioned there, you played in I guess it's called North Macedonia now. I'm just trying to be like politically correct here. So how did that, obviously you're in Quebec. How does a team from North Macedonia find you, and what was it like living over there?
So I got in contact with the team because of a guy that saw me play in Quebec during a showcase. So he talked about me to the team in North Macedonia, and I sent them my highlights, my CV, and then they flew me out over there to like see me in person, and I did what I did, and it went well. So they offered me a contract over there, and yeah, I've been there. I did the half of season with them, like their end of the season. So from January to May, I played with them. It was a great experience, new place, different culture, different style of football as well. But I mean, I learned stuff that helped me improve my game, and I think that it was necessary for me to go through those kind of experiences.
So what style of football is it? Like, is it that kind of European, like the Spanish, where they kind of like to keep the ball and just pass it around, or is it like English football where they're kind of like kicking it long and rushing? Like what
Yeah,
kind of
I would
football?
say it's more like English football because it like some teams were playing like technique, tactical, and everything, but I think like most of the teams in that league were playing really physique, long balls. Like it was good football, but not like the proper technical Spanish football. And plus over there, like the three first teams were qualified for the qualification of the Champions League and the Europa League. So I mean, there was good quality over there for sure.
So obviously because you're a bigger guy, like were they picking on you a little bit? Like the kind of defenders making sure you got an elbow here or there, or
Of course, of course. I mean, since I'm tall, the defenders know that I might maybe use my body, so they always try to they push me from behind or do some stuff just to nag me or like try to take me down. Even Nisito is the same. So I think it's my role, my work to try to not let that happen. And I think I have to work on that too. My back play, I have to work on that to be able to keep the ball more on my feet and be able to hold back the defenders.
I think Akeem Garcia is probably one of the best players in the league at that. I think he'd be a good player to play against. So, like, are you picking up bits and pieces from the guys at training?
Of course, there's a lot of talent in the squad. There's a lot of good guys, good strikers as well, because I'm a striker, so I'm trying to learn from them. I should say that King Garcia is a really good striker. He got a proper technique for the back play. I see him. He ain't even that tall. That's the thing, but he plays really good. Like from the back. So I'm trying to learn from him. There's also Mursam, who is a good striker, and he's older than me. So I'm trying to ask him sometimes some questions about stuff, and he talks to me a lot about that.
Yeah, I noticed with Akeem, like he just likes to put his bum into players. He's always like because he's kind of shorter, like he's kind of stocky. It's
exactly.
It's I'd say he's like for a defender. I'd say it's a nightmare trying to play against him, trying to get the ball. It's kind of crazy.
He's a good player.
So like when you were coming into the club, like what did Stephen and Matt say to you? Like, but the style of play that they want from you, like where do they see you kind of fitting into the team and what they're trying to do?
So obviously they told me that they noticed a lot of qualities from me during the trial sessions and during the game against the 2023s. I'm a striker that likes to take spaces. I'm fast, so I like to run up front. I have a good air game, let's say head, volley, and everything, because I'm tall, so I'm dominant in the air. I try to score goals with the headers and everything, and I'm a guy that like to finish clean, like clean finish, with precision. Not the guy who likes to strike with power and everything. I'm more like the clean finisher, and I like to combine it with the guys too. Combine it, come back sometimes, or try to make runs up front. So like try to diverse my runs and create space for the other guys as well.
Yeah, like we signed Fump Mwanwe, and we've got Zach and obviously Tabby on the far side. So are you excited to play with those guys who are able to get to the touch line and whip crosses in for you and stuff like that?
I like that. I like that. Honestly, even we were talking about that during training sessions as well. Like I mean, Zach, who got a really good quality of center for Ben as well. Like they know that I like to stay in the box and receive crosses from them. So we're trying to repeat that as much as possible, and hopefully one day we'll pay and we will score a goal like that.
It's gonna come, man. It's gonna come. You could like
Yeah.
The game against Pacific. I thought you came on and you played like really well. You gave us a lot of different options. Like, is it difficult? Like, obviously we've got Salter, who is like pretty much our number one right now. But is it difficult coming into a game when you're being asked to do something different than what he's been doing? Like, what's it like coming on into the pitch, especially in that situation where it's 0-0, we're playing against 10 men, we kind of need to score. So, like, do you get nervous? What was going on?
No. I don't get nervous at all. I mean, before going in the field, normally the coaches are telling me like why they want me to come in, what they want me to do when I'm on the field as well. So just before entering, sorry. Jan told me what he wanted from me. Yeah, what he was demanding from me to do, and I think that I kind of did what he wanted me to do, and I'm glad that I contributed without contribute to the goal that we scored against Pacific. But yeah, obviously, like since I told you I'm a tall guy, he wanted me to create some danger in the box, be able to receive crosses from either Tabi or not Tabi, but Escobar or Fernandez. So yeah.
Coming into the end of the season, like we've only got like 7 or 8 games, but you've got all of next season. So, what are your goals from now until the end of the season for yourself?
My personal goal for the end of the season is to try to play as much as possible. I know we have a lot of strikers in the squad right now, so it's a bit complicated, but I'm gonna take benefit of every single second minute that I have and try to do my best. Try to score as much goals as I can, even though we have 7-8 games left. But also to assimilate myself, try to learn from the guys, also learn from the league, and like that, make sure that the next season, my next full season, which is next year, I'll be able to play with more confidence, play without any doubts, just play my game, and yeah. So I'll say like this last few games for me is are games to show myself for the minutes that I have, but also to learn about the league. And next year I will attack it as much as possible.
So I did want to ask you about you came on in the game against Ottawa away from home, and we were 2-2, and then the crazy situation. So what was it like being on the pitch? Obviously, like for the equalizer, and then the crazy stuff that happened afterwards with the third goal.
That was crazy, honestly. I mean, we fought really bad. We came back to score. They were ahead of us 2-0. We came back 2-2. So obviously we were happy. I mean, we were playing outside. So I mean, even though taking 1 point would be benefit for us, and honestly, I don't know what happened. A few seconds after our second goal, they put in the goal. And the thing is, when they scored and the referee told us that it was offside, it was like, okay, let's go. Like, let's play a game and everything. Then he went back to his line referee, talked with him a bit, and then told that the goal counted. I mean, we wasn't happy, obviously, but that's football. You can't do anything about it. It happened. And yeah, like that. Now he was pissed, of course. But after that, we said, "Hello, guys, we have to wake up. We got other games to play as well, so let's not sleep on that game and focus on the other games we have."
Yeah, I think the referee didn't like us very much because Pierre scored a perfectly good goal, and then that happened.
We scored one goal. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Exactly. That's the thing. We scored the first goal in the game. Apparently, it was offside. We got some penalties that didn't get called. I mean, those referees sometimes, but hey, it is what it is.
Like as well with the game at Ottawa, like, so, you know, luckily I think it was good that we had a game quite quickly afterwards. But like, what was Stephen's message to everybody like after the Ottawa game, like in the dressing room? Was he like, you know, just move on, or was it like, fuck this?
Yeah, he was more about the moving on stuff. Obviously, he wasn't happy as well. As I told you, like after that game, was all in the dressing room watching videos of that goal to see like what happened, like what was the thing. And I mean, as I told you, like it passed. We can't change anything. So he told us just to take that in and focus on the next ones. And we did. We came back against Pacific and we won the game. So we're happy about that.
It's crazy that like you all were closer to that than anybody else, and you still had to watch videos in the dressing room to find out what happened.
I know, right?
It was just a crazy game. So, man, it's been great talking to you. As I said, like, I didn't want to keep you for too long. I just wanted to. I think it's a great opportunity for people to get to know you a little bit, because, you know, it was kind of, as I said, we've had so many players come in at the same time, and it's been a bit of a whirlwind for everybody. So, good luck, man. Enjoy your trip to Edmonton. We'll see you at the next game and the next home game, and best of luck, buddy.
Have a good one too. Thank you very much for your
Thanks,
time
man.
as well.
Folks, please. Right foot, please. Time to drink up, folks. Get out. Out to fuck.